Peace. Brian, Conservative Rap, thanks for checking this video out. And as we both know, let's talk about what's going on. The deep state is in a death spiral. Durham Annex, which recently released, points to Obama, it points to Soros, it points to Clinton, and how they had a coup d'etat, how they had a plot to undermine the will of the American people in 2016 to jeopardize Trump's victory with a fake story. They engineered the whole thing, they concocted the whole thing, they fabricated the whole thing, and the fake news supported it. They had a cheating system in 2016, and ultimately, the genius of Trump to use the Electoral College shocked them. The fake news went along with it. So in addition to this coup d'etat, there was COVID, there was the impeachment hoaxes, there were even recently assassination attempts on Trump. He's been going through this with them for 8 years, and he still is to this day. And the fake news can't spin it. That's why they're avoiding the subject. Think about it. For them to cover it in any way, shape, or form reveals their duplicity. It reveals that they themselves cannot be trusted. So let's talk a little bit about what we're hearing on X, and you'll see how all this is coming together. Check this out. Boom, 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 boom. Breaking. Harvard was planning to spend $20,000 in taxpayer funds to buy AC units for Boston residents. The school claims it can no longer afford to just give away the units on its own dime. Why does Harvard need federal support to pay for stuff completely unrelated to teaching students? Without tax revenue from U.S. workers, there's simply no way for Harvard University to afford these air conditioners for poor people, the Boston Globe says. And the Boston Globe apparently is now a purveyor of common sense. I don't know if this is a liberal outlet or not, but we know most of these fake news liberal outlets are. Apologies, Boston Globe, if you actually do use common sense, but people are waking up and this stuff is getting obvious. Juanita Broderick on X, quoting Laura Loomer and saying, "Rest in peace, New York City." The governor of New York is wearing a hijab today. This was, when was this? July 31st. So yesterday, Thursday. NYC is also about to elect a Muslim mayor. NYC is being conquered by Islam in real time. NYC is thus disgusting. You can pay your respects to a fallen officer without making mockery of Western civilization by wearing a hijab. So gross. So people feel different ways about this, but I think in spirit, Laura Loomer and Juanita Broderick are right. I don't know what we're looking at. My hopes are for Sliwa. It looks like he's edging a little bit in the polls as people become more awake, but we'll see how this goes. And if you're out there, pray for this city, because the liberal nonsense slowing down, but unfortunately not quelled completely, not stopped completely the way we need it to be. DC Drano. Literally every part of our lives, every single part of our lives gets better with mass deportations. Quoting a Zero Hedge, auto accidents fall 10% in major cities amid reports of lighter traffic. Hey, put two and two together. A lot of these accidents, you got to wonder where these people learned to drive and whether or not they were, I'd hate to say it, but whether or not they learned how to operate a motor vehicle where there were paved roads and traffic laws. Bad hombre, they all got the same script. Check this out. For 60 years, Medicare and Medicaid have provided health insurance to millions of Americans. But this year's anniversary is tainted by Trump's big ugly bill, which cuts almost $1 trillion from Medicaid to fund tax breaks for billionaires. First off, this is bullshit. It's a lie. Anyone who's studied the bill understands that it's about removing the fraudulent abuse of the Medicare system. Hakeem Jeffries, Governor Josh Shapiro, the usual suspects, Rosa DeLauro, Frank Pallone, Cindy Coral Booker, they're all repeating the same nonsense word for word. It's like they get their talking points in some late night info dump and they expect us not to catch on with it. The worst is when they're proven wrong or proven fraudulent, because they all have egg on their faces and can't come back from that. Charlie Kirk, President Trump has warned UK Prime Minister to stop threatening American companies with the country's absurd new Online Safety Act. American companies like X, Truth, and Meta are forced to either censor free speech or face severe fines. Remember, in the UK, the EU, they don't have First Amendment rights covered in the same way and with the same vigor and strength that we do here. This is one of the reasons why America is beautiful and why the founders were genius in the way they established that infrastructure. Fun fact, UK's ridiculous anti-free speech law even prohibits illegal content, quote unquote, that criticizes illegal immigration and people smuggling. If our allies, quote unquote, in Europe don't treat free speech as sacrosanct, then the Western world will collapse. America should absolutely use every form of leverage we have to insist they live up to their own values and ideals. And let's see where this goes. We luckily and thankfully have a president that understands leverage and how to use it. Moving on, let's cover a little bit about Nancy Pelosi. The trading, the insider trading by Congress, it's sick and it needs to stop. All right, Nancy Pelosi was asked about Trump saying she insider trades. Pelosi, why do you have to read that? It's ridiculous. Check out her incompetent response and the tell.
It was. But let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
But I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here. And I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now.
All right. Now, remember, this is the same guy. He was caught holding a hammer by the door, if you remember. How does her husband beat Warren Buffett and hedge fund managers? It's her husband. Is she not feeding him the information? It's getting a little ridiculous, and people are waking up to it. Lastly, just quickly on truth, I'm going to share this tab instead. The fastest way to end the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages. You got to love Trump and how he stays on message. Remember, people are waking up. We're about to see justice. And we didn't even get into the Epstein stuff and the Hillary Clinton dossier. We'll cover that in the next video. We're about to see justice, and it's going to be either liberty, justice, or freedom for all. Thanks for taking a listen. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and check me out at ConservativeRap.com for more. Thanks and take care.